Dan, we shared some really great conversations. We've dove deep into the how, into the why, and all of it, but we started specifically with the why. Okay, we started there, and then we determined that my specific how was a better way, and then we can talk about the what. But why do we focus on our why before we focus on what we do or how we do it? Why is the why the thing that comes first?
It's interesting. We all saw that Simon Sinek TED Talk 12 years ago, where he told us how important it was to start with why. He talked about the golden circle, right? You tell people why you do what you do, then you tell them how you do it, and then you tell them what you do. Great companies, great communicators do a great job of doing that. Apple Computers is probably the best example. Their why is to challenge the status quo. So they lead with, in everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo and thinking differently. Then they tell you how they do it. They do that by creating better products, amazing computers. Then they tell you what they deliver. Right? You don't start with what you do. If you tell everybody what you do, guess what? They're going to lump you in with everybody else that does what you do. I'm a lawyer. I'm a dentist. I'm a sales guy. I'm a consultant. Well, guess what? There are thousands of you. Even in your own city, there are thousands of dentists, right? So if you tell people you're a dentist, they're going to say, okay, so how are you better than everybody else? But if you tell them why you do what you do, you connect with them. You say, look, in everything I do, I believe in contributing to the success of others. Now, I happen to be a chief growth officer at Y Institute, but why I do it is because I get to make a difference in the lives of people every day. So now we're connecting on a different level.
Wow. Now, I love that specifically because when you ask a lot of people like what they do, they immediately talk about their profession because
Right.
it's just what we do. It's what we've been taught even in like networking trainings. But if you started your introduction to somebody out with, well, listen, no matter what I do, I love to contribute. I love to help other people. It all stems from my own story when I was 21, being overweight, being in tons of debt. And then you go into your own personal story and help
Right.
that person relate to you on a real level rather than just say like what you said, I'm a lawyer, I'm a dentist. Now you're a commodity. Now you're doing the same thing as everybody else. But that why gives you even more understanding because that's a really great way to communicate it to other people. But I guess I'll ask it to you in this way, Dan, like why did finding your why and discovering your why and really living your purpose, when did that become a focal point of your life? Is that something you've always thought about while you were even a sales director? Like when did you really sit back and say, what's the reason why I do what I do and why it's important?
Great question. So in 2019, I had been at Baxter Healthcare for 17 years. I was a national sales director. If you looked at my LinkedIn profile, you're like, man, that guy's done well, right? He started out as a sales rep and then he became a regional manager. And then we bought a company and they said, Dan, will you be the national sales director for this new company we just bought? And so I'm rocking and rolling, leading teams and enjoying myself. And once something happened, we had a change in leadership, Brandon. And for the majority of my time, and you can see that in my background, I'm a veteran, so I spent time in the military. My how, and we'll talk more about the why, how, and what. By my how is to challenge the status quo. So for me, doing things by the book, doing things exactly the same way every day, going to a place and sitting at a cubicle and doing the same thing every day is not for me. I like to be different. I like to think outside the box. I like to do things differently. So for 15 years when I was at Baxter Healthcare, I had leadership who said, Dan, here's your quota. Don't break the law. Go hit your number. You give somebody with the how of challenge those kind of boundaries, there's a lot of fun that can be had. And then there's a lot of good results that result. I never missed a quota. My teams always hit their quotas. But then something changed. There was a change in leadership. And this isn't a bad thing about my new leader. It just, he was a different kind of leader. He liked to do things by the book. He wanted to know where you were, what you were doing, how your teams were doing things. And for somebody with the how of challenge, that was like putting me in a box and closing me.
Mm.
And I didn't realize it, but I spent the last 2 years at Baxter being really unhappy. I gained weight. I was stressed. And all of a sudden, I was like, this isn't fun anymore. So I made a decision based, and I can tell that story later, on a journal entry that my daughter made. And
Mm.
I made a decision, hey, I need to do something different. And I left my job at Baxter. I left the pension, left the 401k, left the stock options. And I said, I need to do something where I can be home with my family, where I'm not stressed all the time, and where I'm enjoying it. But I didn't know what that would be. I literally just left without a plan. So then, about a month later, I'm playing golf and I run into Gary Sanchez, our founder and CEO at Y Institute. He's my dentist at the time. And I said, I had a toothache. So I call it the toothache that changed my life. I said, hey, Gary, I've got a toothache. Can you get me in on Monday? And he says, Dan, for sure. Make an appointment. Let's get you in there. And I'm sitting in his chair and he says, Dan, what are you doing? I hear you've left your job and you're going to do something different. And he said, well, do you know what you're going to do? And I said, no, Gary, I don't know what I'm going to do, but whatever I do next, I'm going to make sure that I love it. And he says, Dan, do you know your why? And that's where my journey started. He helped me discover my why. And then he said to me, so Dan, after I did the why discovery with him, he said, Dan, so your why is to contribute. So you like to make a difference in the lives of others. You use your influence, your power, your money, and your connections to help others move forward faster. And I said, yeah, doesn't everybody? And he said, no, not everybody's driven like you. There are 9 whys. Yours is contribute, but there are 8 others. And he walked me through that process, walked me through my how and my what. And I'm telling you, Brandon, it changed my life. I knew right then and there what I was going to do. And Gary and I went and had lunch that day. He took me to the Chinese place across the street. I was still numb from the teeth work, but we had some lunch. We talked about it. And 2 months later, I became his chief growth officer. And I said, I want to help you commercialize this because it made such a difference for me. And now we've made a big difference for hundreds of thousands of people who've discovered their why. And our big goal right now is to help coaches put this tool in their toolkit so they can help their clients discover their why.